So I've done 5 no-body murders. Okay, I did the Hawks case out of Newport with the couple that got tied to the anchor and thrown overboard. Did a case called Judy Ballot that nobody's ever heard of. And when you first start out as a prosecutor, you think that you don't know how a jury's going to react to that. And when you do a few of them, you realize that there can be certain advantages if you don't find the body. And one of them is if you have to prove the death. Normally, you just have the death of a human being is the element. So if you have a dead body, that element is satisfied. But if you have the ethical and burden of proof obligation to prove that somebody is dead, the way you do that is you put their mom on the stand, and or their best friend, or somebody that tells you how much they love their dog, and or the grandma who said he'd never miss Christmas. And what you're able to do as a prosecutor is the jury will be able to get a sense of who the person was as a human being. And I had a mentor in homicide. His name is Lou Rosenblum. He basically brought me into the unit, and he's one of the. I know you've had mentors over the course of your career. I love this man. And he took me under his wing and taught me how to do murders. And he had a quote I will never forget about no bodies. He said, "The jury can always see the soul of your victim reflected in the eyes of those who love them." So, and that's one that always stuck with me. So I don't want to put Ed's BS self-serving story on to prove that Chris Smith is dead. I want to be able to prove it other ways. And with all of the emails with the Galapagos, the easiest way for me to do that would be to call Tiffany Taylor, right? And just have her come in with her passport and say, "I've never been to the Galapagos Islands." But we couldn't find her. And I had Vegas Metro going out there. We could not track her down. And I don't know if that's because she's moved, and she's an atmosphere model, right? Which is weird by itself, right? But it's a legitimate business. It's basically you're a live model. And I don't know if I don't know what her involvement is in Vegas. I don't know any of this stuff. Like, all I know is I need her in order to do the no body prosecution. And I'd given up, and the case was actually going to be pretty difficult the way we had it. And especially given that he told all his friends and family about this round the world trip. And I got a phone call in my office, and it was Summer Hansen crying, saying, I just found out you guys have been looking for me. I've been in Virginia with my parents. I am so sorry. What can I do to help?" And she flew in, and I was able to put her on the stand with her passport. So that's what forced Ed to testify. If I hadn't been able to do that, Ed Shin could have relied on his bullshit self-serving interview with Don and Ray, where he came up with this cockamamie, absurd story.
Why? How did she disprove the cockamamie story? Just that it showed you could establish that Ed Shin was the one sending those emails, and why would he tell such a lie? Like, how was she the clincher?
She was the clincher because I could prove that Chris Smith never left the United States, because she supposedly went to the Galapagos Islands, which means she would have had an entry in her passport, because there was all this stuff about Tiffany Taylor.
That was stop one.
Had that photo of her. What's that? Yeah, stop one.
That was
That's
stop
right.
one. Okay,
so,
yeah, I see it.
Right. So by her saying I never went, it means Chris never went, which means the emails were all fake. And we were able to, the IP address, my expert on that wasn't my favorite. I'll leave his name out of it. But he basically said that the text messages the IP address was from North America. So that still leaves a lot of wiggle room for defense. So basically, I wanted to do this as a nobody, and I needed her to do it, and she stepped up. And I've actually kept in touch with her over the years. I was so grateful for the way she handled that, because she wasn't under subpoena. She came in voluntarily.
Yeah,
because we couldn't.
She got the Playboy model with a heart of gold. I like that. I like that twist of the story.
And I'm telling you, I've never asked her, how much the seedy Vegas underbelly she saw, but yeah,
sure,
she stepped in a huge way. That's what forced Ed to testify. And there was a point in there where he starts talking about the emails that he sent, and he on direct examination, he starts tearing up. And so he actually starts shedding some.
I have this. So he teared up. Yeah. He teared up, and you were not having it. Here's a bit of Matt Murphy's cross-examination on that. Stop 5.
Tearing up a little bit right now?
I'm okay, sir.
Were you tearing up when you wrote that email to Debbie Smith saying their son was committing suicide or suggesting that he was going to do that? Were you tearing up when you did that?
Yes.
Okay. You were actually at the computer tearing up as you were going to break a mother's heart by essentially blaming her for the death of her son. That was making you feel sad?
It was one of the many emotions I felt, yes.
Oh my gosh. So well done, Matt.
No, thank you. As a prosecutor, that's what you want. You want the bad guy on the stand. And if every trial kind of has a moment, where you can point to it and it's like a turning point. That was the turning point of that trial. And his direct, by the way, I mean, this is the thing about the fraudsters, Megyn, and I know you've probably encountered this before. When you got a guy who makes his living by fooling people, right?
They're great at
they
it.
tend to be really good at that. And all you need is one juror.
It's a
and
gift.
his mom was sitting right behind me in the front row in the gallery. And the jury, we had to have her testify because, again, we got to do it as a nobody because of Summer Hansen. And so there, he's on the stand and he gave me that gem. And you almost never know exactly what's going to happen when they hit the stand. But that was when it's like, wait a minute, dude, you're crying. You're trying to show emotion. And you sent a year's worth of emails. You broke up with his soon-to-be fiance by saying, I don't love you anymore. Like one of the most ruthless, heartless, freaking psycho things I saw in 26 years. And there he was on the stand. And
but that's the difference between you. I mean, there are a lot of prosecutors who have a script for their cross, and that's the script that's going to be delivered, and they're not going to deviate. But to your credit, you were nimble. You saw him try to engender sympathy for him. It was so hard for me, and you stuffed it down his craw. It's like you were leading this poor mom to believe her son was about to kill himself because of the kind of parent she was. Where were your tears then? That is just perfectly done. That had to be a good night for you when you went home that evening.
Oh, thank you. No, that's the fundamentals of every good cross-examination that you'll hear from any real trial lawyer is you can prepare. I mean, I prepared that cross for years, and you have to be prepared to, I think the journalism term is kill your puppies. Like you have to be prepared to abandon the story that you're in love with if the truth leads you someplace else. You have to do the same thing with cross-examination. You have to be able to put aside every note you've made, all your careful preparation when you get a moment like that. You have to, because that's how you win trials, I think.
So it's just from Hemingway, kill your little darlings. And no one's killing any puppies unless you're Christy Nome. It's a Christy Nome thing. You confused us. She likes to kill the puppies. We don't kill the puppies.
Yeah, the last moment in that, I gave him one last chance. I got a topographical map, and I put it up, and I had a marker for him. And we had a search and rescue team out staged during his cross-examination in the desert. Oh, wow. And I don't know if you have that photo. That was actually, I don't think I put it on. I should have sent this to you. There's one where they were out there for 2 days, and they were sitting in the cold, and they were they're waiting. And what I love about it is the cadaver dog that we had was named Karma. And they're all waiting, and it's like, okay, Ed, here you go. Here's his family. Here's a Sharpie. Here's the map. Do the right thing. So this family, the family of your former partner, do the right thing so they can bury their son. Tell us where the body is. And he almost looked like he thought about it for a second. And he said, I have no idea where the body is, sir. I have no idea.
Credit card rewards like cash back can empower families with extra savings while they deal with the rising price of groceries and gas. But our sponsor, the Electronic Payments Coalition, says some DC politicians are partnering with corporate megastores to take the cash back rewards away from families during skyrocketing inflation. Specifically, they say the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would take billions from American families, lining corporate pockets instead. Learn more at electronicpaymentscoalition.org and see for yourself if you want to protect credit card rewards and tell DC politicians to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. That's electronicpaymentscoalition.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.